Hello and welcome to this orientation of the ActivPanel LE. This is Promethean's latest model for a cost-effective panel that's interactive and you can use in the classroom for a huge variety of functions. I'm Stuart Montgomery, I'm the Territory Manager for Promethean in Northern Ireland. I'm going to take you through what this ActivPanel can do, more importantly, show you how to do it. So at the moment we have our ActivPanel LE turned on as you know, it's pretty easy to do. You've got a power button right here. You just turn it on and that should be you. We also have plugged in a laptop, so a Windows PC, really because that's the environment that, certainly in Northern Ireland, people will work with, and they'll work with either a Surface Pro or with a desktop PC. In reality, it doesn't matter which one that is. You can choose either or. It'll be an identical experience for you. One thing of note is, if it's going to be a PC, as in a standalone desktop PC, you will have to connect it, and this will be done for you by the installers, but you'll have to connect it via an HDMI cable, which looks like this. If I sort of hold it up, I'm sure you've seen the HDMI cable before, don't need me to show it to you, but it's this sort of trapezoid type of shape goes in there, and it's the same on both ends. It can go into one at the front, or you've got a couple at the side as well. You also need, that will give you your visuals and your sound. You will also need a touch cable, so that will give you the interactivity with your PC. So that requires another cable called a USB A to B cable, a touch cable. Again, this will be provided with you when you buy the panel. Now on one end you're going to have a regular USB, and the other end you're going to have a little rounded, like a wee fat one here. This one, the rounded one, goes into any of the touch ports. You can see on here there is a wee picture of a finger and it goes into there. There's also one at the side as well. The other port goes into your PC. If you're using either a laptop or a Surface Pro, you have the ability of plugging in a USB-C port or cable, and these are identical on both ends. I'm sure you're familiar with USB-C cables, but that goes into, again, on the front or at the side as well. The benefit of a USB-C cable is that it has your visuals, your touch and your sound, but it also charges all with the one cable, so it's a lot neater and a lot tidier, and generally a more modern way of doing it. So we're plugged in, we're turned on, and we're on our computer as well, which is really nice. Now I can touch here, of course, I can move it. There is a pen that comes with this. I don't have the pen that comes with the LE. It's actually not this type of pen. It's actually an all black pen, and it's a metallic pen, so it's not all metal, but there's a metallic metal inside it, and as such it will stick to these little pen ports on the front. These are flat, but it will stick to there. You will get two pens, so you'll be able to leave it sitting there the whole time, and it'll sit there without falling off, which is really handy as well. Also, the remote I have here isn't the LE remote that I have. It's actually the white one. That being said, it's very, very similar. The LE remote is slightly bigger, has slightly more buttons on it, but it does the same sort of functionality. You've got your power button, you've got your volume button as well. In reality, though, all of the buttons that you would use in your remote can be done on here. You can do it all with the panel turned on with on-screen commands, and I'll show you that, of course. So we've turned it on, and how we're going to use our PC. Well, I suppose the question is, how would you like to use your PC? How do you currently use your PC? So to give you an example, we've opened up, say, PowerPoint, a really commonly used program, and we're going to go to slideshow, and we're going to go to from beginning. And on our panel, we have the option of, when we're using apps, to take advantage of the fact that they're pen touch differentiation. So what that means is this panel can tell when I'm using my finger and when I'm using one of the pens. Doesn't matter whether it's this pen or one of the ActivPanel LE pens. So I want to move it across, I can just swipe right to left to move it across. If I want to go back, I go the other way. If I wanted to, say, take this one and write on it, I don't need to open up any apps or change any settings. I just pick up the pen and I just start writing on it. Dead easy, no fuss, just like that. If I want to rub it out, you use the other side of the pen, so the eraser side. Again, doesn't matter what pen it is, and you can rub that out. So you can move, you can write, and you can rub. Now, the benefit of that, obviously, it's nice and easy for you to very, very quickly write something out, but it's also nice and easy. Say I wanted to keep this information on here, I wanted to move on to the next page. You just use your finger to move it across, and the writing changes, or writing disappears, because it's not on top of it, it's actually stuck to that page, and that's really, really important. Again, you can use the other side of your pen. You can also use, if you wish, if you don't have a pen, you want to use it, you could use your palm as well, which is an option. Now, that will allow you to if you go into here, just at the bottom, you've got a little pen option. You could use a highlighter as well. So when you use your pen, it highlights things just like that. And again, you could rub that out. But it's a really useful option to have when using something like a PowerPoint. And that'll be the same, by the way, on Microsoft Word. So if I open a Word document up, it'll be exactly the same. I'll be able to up something. There's a file I had open earlier. But let's go to a blank document here. And I can write on it. As you can see here, I can rub it out as well, and I could even, if I write on it, I could even move the document as well and stay there. And that could be a blank document, but it could also be one that I have previously saved, maybe a worksheet or something similar to that. So I could take advantage of those things. And obviously, you can use your touch, your finger, your pen when it comes to websites and stuff like that as well. So it opens up the door to an awful lot of different things. The other thing I wanted to mention when it comes to your PC, apart from individual websites and apps that you'll use, and you know there are hundreds and thousands of different things people could use and different combinations, but from a Promethean perspective, we have an app called ActivSuite, and on this channel there should be a video showing you how to download ActivSuite to your computer, but I'll put that in the link of the description. But ActivSuite looks like this. It's a little, point out there, I suppose it's a little red flame with a white circle or white square, and when you click on it, it opens up ActivSuite. Now yours won't look exactly the same as mine. I'm using a different version. There are some things you'll see and go, that's interesting, it's not on there. So what you'll see on you'll see the whiteboard, you will see the timer, and you'll see the spinner. You won't see annotate, screen share, and engage meter. The reason being is you already have them on the LE. As I'll show you later on, you have access to all of them on the LE side of things, but on the computer side of things, this is what you're going to do. So we've got whiteboard, timer, and spinner, and that's what we're going to have a look at now when it comes to using this. So there are two kind of sections to this video. You can use the LE with your PC, which a lot of teachers use, and I'll illustrate why that's really useful, but you can also use it sort of with the operating system of the panel, so without any PC at all, or you can ignore your PC. There's no right or wrong way of doing it, but the first way, if we're using our PC with ActivSuite, we're going to use the whiteboard, the timer, and the spinner. Interestingly, ActivSuite is also available through these apps, are available on the LE operating system as well. So let's go into timer. So a timer is exactly what it sounds like. It's a timer, and if I open up, we've got the timer here, and we can move this around by grabbing the top bit. We can grab any of the corners and we could change the size of it. At the moment, it's actually not a timer, it's actually a clock. So if I was to press a little plus, I can add a second, I can add a third, I can add a fourth as well, and we can move them around and do different things with them. Of course, I could resize them all, maybe stack them in a certain corner or put them somewhere on the page, make them full screen, unmake them full screen by going to the windowed mode button as well. You can do lots with them. We can also close them as well. Now, if I wanted to say change elements of this timer, because obviously it'd be nice to have a timer on here. I can open up a PowerPoint or open up a website and it will sit over the top, so I can use it for lots of work. But actually I want to change it a little bit, so I'm going to make it a bit bigger. Tap on the wee cog here and you'll see I can change elements. This actually isn't a timer as much as it is a clock, and that's what these here mean. This is a clock, this is a stopwatch, and it counts up, and this is a timer and it counts down. So if we go to look back to the clock here to start off with, we could change from digital, which is currently on, to analog if we wanted to. We could have seconds on or off, we could have hours, 24 hours on or off. We could even change the time zone. If we were going to a stopwatch, we can press the stopwatch here to start. We could pause it, we can reset it, we can press the cog and change elements of that. We could have centiseconds turned off, so it only goes up in your seconds. You could have centiseconds turned back on because you're really trying to find an exact time. And you can even turn the sound on here. So I appreciate, might not be able to hear that very well, but there's a wee beepy sound there you can probably hear. And that'll play each time. You can turn that on or off depending on what you want to do. We can go to the last one, which is timer. And timer allows you to, we have hours, minutes, and seconds. If we go to say to 1 minute and we press play, it gives you a numerical timer. It gives you a digital timer as well, as in a sort of visual timer, I should say, as well. We can pause that, we can reset it as well. Back in the cog, we've got digital, we've also got analog as well, so you can have both there, and you can change. I want 15 minutes very quickly, boom, we can put that on very, very quickly. What celebration means is it's a way of you showing the timer is up without actually having a sound, because we do have a sound here. I'm going to play a sound now, so there's a harp sound. Okay, sound plays. Now Some teachers said we don't want to sound blaring out and different things, so we're going to go to celebration and we're going to go to confetti. So every time this finishes, there'll be confetti flying up, so they'll get a visual representation or notification that it's done. You can even have an end phrase as well, like congratulations, well done. You can customize this to suit exactly how you want to go, or want to use it, sorry. The other one here is the spinner. So right beside timer, you're going to have spinner. And spinner is a randomized item chooser. So you can see here, I've got something that says warm-ups, one I've made earlier. Again, we can move it around. We can make it bigger and smaller by grabbing the corners. We can also add multiple ones on here as well. So there's 2 here, for example. We'll make them roughly about the same size. Now they both say warm-ups. So if you click on where it says warm-ups, there'll be a drop-down menu. You have all your individual lists that you've made, and I'll show you how to make those lists. So this, we're doing a PE lesson, and we're going to do some random warm-ups. So we tap on this and tap on this, and we'll say, Marcus, you're going to be doing leg swings, whatever they are. Okay. So how do you edit this first, and then how do you add your list? So first of all, just to make it bigger so we can see it, if we press the cog, we can edit and change elements of that as well. So if we go to celebration, again, we can add some confetti whenever that finishes or makes a choice, but we don't have to. We can add a sound, like a celebration or a cheer sound. Again, these are all optional. We can even change the duration of the spin. So from 6 seconds, so we're ramping up the tension and really seeing who is it going to be, and it's Paul, or we can do 0 seconds. So we're just going to do quick fire maths, some quick fire questions, so no spinning at all, and it picks a new one each time, just like that, or somewhere like 1.5. Display selection, if you spin it, whoever gets picked, in this case it's Peter, you just see Peter. If you toggle that off and you spin it again, you'll see it's John. Okay, so John's on here, but John's in the slice, and he's not just behind Peter there. So it nearly was him twice, but you can see that there, and you can toggle this on or off. Repeat selection, essentially, if you have this turned on, John gets picked, could get picked again. If I turn it off, he won't get picked again until everyone else has been picked at least once. That's all really interesting, and I think hopefully you can see the benefit of it. What teachers want to know is, like, how can I make my own list? So if you go to the drop-down menu and go to create list, because you're on your computer, and I'm talking about a laptop or a desktop, you could sit down at the keyboard and type. And that's much easier, in my opinion, if you're on a portable device like a Surface Pro or a laptop, because you could take it away from your classroom, take it to your desk, take it home potentially, and you could type in your lists and make it on there. And it's much faster, much more convenient than to having to stand up and do it manually. However, if you have a list already made, so I've got a list here, and you can get a list from anywhere. This list is one I've got off Excel of some names. Now yours doesn't have to be this. You could have a list that is on a website. It could be a list of something on an Excel spreadsheet, a PowerPoint, a Word document, anything that's in a list format. You can highlight, you can copy, and if you just click into that first little box and press paste, it'll paste them all in there. And apart from the last one, which is blank, I can delete that. I've now got my thing completely done. I would give it a name. I'd call it, test or class or whatever, and I'd press done just here. And that would be us, completely made. You might find sometimes you want to make one, you could type your own. A really good tip is, like a Copilot and things like that, and Gemini are really good for finding lists. You could generate a list of Viking gods, for example. That's how I got all these pretty much. There's Egyptian gods, Viking gods. I went to Copilot, I said generate a list of Viking gods with no description, and it gave me a full list, and I copied and pasted it. So it's a really handy thing for you to be able to have. And that is the spinner and the timer. The next thing we're going to look at is the last part of ActivSuite when it comes to using our PC with the LE, and that's the whiteboard. Now the whiteboard again is on your ActivPanel, on your ActivSuite app. Just a note, by the way, if you are on your ActivSuite app, once you open it up, you get the black bar along the bottom and you get your apps. If you were to tap in the left or the right corner, the apps will move towards you, and if you tap anywhere at all, they'll also disappear. They're not closed, they're just out of the way, so you can hide the app essentially just by clicking on it like that. So I'm over here, and maybe I'm moving across to deal with something in this part of the classroom I want to be able to see a bit easier. I can click on here and they'll move across, or I can click in the middle to centralize it as well. So we're going to go to the whiteboard here, and the whiteboard is exactly what it sounds like. It's the Explain Everything whiteboard. It's a whiteboarding tool for writing content on it and being able to use it in a variety of ways. Now, just one note. There is some elements of this that you'll see and go, ooh, that's interesting, can I do that? Not so much. There is something called Explain Everything Advanced, which is a paid tier of Explain Everything, and it gives you recording, so you can record your lessons, and collaboration. Okay, now I have that because I work for Promethean. You don't need it, in my opinion, unless you want it, and you can look into it. So if you, we're going to ignore these because it's not part of the free stuff that you get with your ActivPanel. So we're not gonna mention it. But if you're interested, again, you let me know. Details are going to be in the description. Let me know, and I'll walk you through how to do that. But it's not something we're going to talk about. So we're going to ignore this invite, and we're going to ignore this little recording option just here. If you've used the app on the iPad, you'll be familiar with what they're like. But as I say, we're not going to go into it. We've got a toolbar here. If you press the little home screen in the top left hand corner, it brings you back to your home menu. So we're going to discard this, and we've got our menu here. So we're going to have blank canvas, template, and a file. Ignore invite code. That's part of this tier where you can invite kids to view content and things like that. So you've got a blank canvas, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a blank screen. You've got templates, and these are all come with it and completely free. There's tons and tons and tons of these as well. You can have a look at them. They're all free. And file, you'll be able to open up an existing file on your device. For example, I could open up something to do with, there's a Harry Potter thing we've opened up, and this is explain everything file we've opened up before. It'll open up with all the content just there. We can go through it just like that and use it in a variety of different ways. But we'll come back to that in a minute. You press the home screen to go back, and we're going to go to a blank canvas. There's our blank canvas here. Now, the blank canvas allows you to do an awful lot. We've got tools down the left-hand side. You can move these around, by the way. You can move them up to the top if you want. You can move them to the side as well. It's entirely up to you. I prefer them at the side here, but that's, again, it's a personal preference. You can move them to the other side if you want. And you've got the ability just to write. Now, as you can see here, as I'm writing, it will write content out just like this. If you want to rub it out, you can either use the other side of the pen, or you can use your palm to rub content out as well. Sorry, I hit the close button there. Which is nice and easy. And I want to write stuff out. Let's do the word apple again. And I could draw out an apple. Okay, that sort of thing. Now I could, because I'm on here, where the wee hand is, I can grab things. I can move this around. I could pop it into here. I could also, and I'm going to set my pen down here for a second, I'm holding this mic. I could use 2 fingers, or even just use 2 fingers like this to make it bigger and smaller. Oops. There we go, just like that. Shrink it bigger and smaller like that. I could pop that in there. You can also click and drag content like this, and that allows you to grab multiple things as well. Sorry, it's very difficult for me to do that. Now that actually brings up quite an interesting wee note, because I find sometimes whenever you're trying to grab things or move it around, it's much easier to move it around. If you wanted to delete that content, I could use my palm to rub it out. I could also just grab it like this and press the bin up here, and the bin will delete it like that, which is really, really handy actually. Now when it comes to the pens, you've got a pen here, and you've got several pen options. You've got a pen, you've got a pencil, you've got a highlighter. Okay, and of course you've different thicknesses for each of these. You just tap into each individual one, and you can change the thicknesses. It's all pretty standard. Again, if you want to rub that out, you do have a rubber here. You can rub it out, or, and I think it's easier, use your hand, click and drag, and press the bin. If you have covered loads of stuff, and I mean loads of individual stuff and bits and bobs, and you've covered it with stuff, and you then want to get rid of all that very, very quickly, all you need to do is tap and hold and press clear all drawings or clear canvas. Clear all drawings will get rid of any writing you've done. Clear canvas will get rid of any basically everything, writing, shapes, images, movies, you name it, you can get rid of it. So I'm going to go to clear drawings because that's all I've got on there at the moment, but you might want to get in the habit of doing clear all, clear canvas. The reason it gives you the options, you might have templates on there, maybe PDFs, maybe videos, and you want to get rid of the writing that you've done in that lesson and then recycle and use that lesson later on. So you want to get rid of just the drawings and nothing else, but you have the option of doing both. While we're on there, if you tap and hold, there's also an option to edit background, which is just here. And edit background allows me to change from a solid color, which currently, as you can see, is white, to a grid, to horizontal lines, to vertical lines, to dots, to textures, whatever you want. So if you go to grid, for example, you can change the color of that grid, as I'm doing here, or you can change the size of that grid with this wee slider just here. Now, if I wanted to keep that, I'd press where it says done down here, but I don't, so I'm going to press reset because I don't want that on there at the moment. And again, you could cancel that as well and it'll go away. Just another useful wee thing to use. There are a lot of other tools on here. So you've got, if we're working our way down, a set of maths tools. Before actually I get on to that, just a wee note is, if I was to say, draw something out here, and I'll use different colors to show you. So 3 different colors and 3 different types of shape. And these are all individual shapes, okay? All pretty standard. But I want to grab more than one. Now, obviously I've explained you can use this click and drag method to grab more than one thing. That's grand. But what if you want to grab individual ones or more than one, like a group of them, but not all together? So for example, I want to grab the circle and the square at the same time. Maybe you've a list of numbers all written out and you want to pull out the prime numbers or the multiples in there, and so you don't want to have to do it one at a time, you want to do it all in one go. If you tap on the wee hand, it's a little bit hard to see, but you've got a little plus in the hand, and now when you click on something and you click on anything else, it will sort of grab. I could grab as many things as I want, and then I can move that and keep it all together. So it's quite handy that way. You can use it that way there. So we'll come down here and press the bin just like that. If I wanted, I could also use some mass tools, and the mass tools are just here. We've got a ruler on here. It can be fiddly with 1 or 2 hands here, so I'll do my level best when I'm holding the mic, but it can be a bit fiddly. So I can use 2 hands to make it bigger and smaller. I could reset it, or I could rotate it, I should say. If you use the pen tool, you can draw a line on it here, just like that. You can use your pen as well. And again, I'm trying my best here to rule these lines at 125 there. Press the bin to make it go away. You could also use, if you want the mass tool, you've got a protractor. Maybe we could measure this. You can shrink that down with 2 fingers if you want to. I'm using blue. Probably should use black, but that's okay. That's a bad example there, sorry. So we'll use, there we go. Just draw this out as an example. It's a very untidy one. If I wanted to keep that, I could color it in with a fill tool here, just like that. With all this, I could then measure this. I could take this apart individually and click on it. So how I did that, by the way, in case you're wondering, is this little fill is basically an object. So if I want to hone in it, I just tap on it. You might need to tap twice just to grab it. And I could test this out. Is that the same as that? It's exactly the same. Is that the same as that? Is it there? Here, sorry. There we go. Is it exactly the same? Yes, it is. And with all this, I could grab all this. I could shrink it down. I could rotate it, move it around. I could delete it. I could do lots of different stuff with it. It opens the door to quite a few different things. There's also a compass on here, and you can press the bin to delete it. And also 2 types. There's a set square, which I have no idea how to use from an educational point of view, and also a full protractor, which I do, but we've already done a half protractor, and it's the same kind of thing. Below that is the rubber. We'll come back to that in a second, but I've kind of illustrated how you can just use your palm or use the back of the pen to write. But it might just be easier to do this at times. You've also got some auto shapes. So auto shapes, you click on the auto shape and you've got a whole load of shapes here. You also have some more shapes with lines and freeform and different things like that you can use, which is very, very handy. So we've got a whole load of shapes on here. Let's use a star, for example. You can click and drag out here. You can move it around. You can make it bigger, make it smaller. You can delete it. You could even, if I go back here, change the color of it. Lots of different things. One wee tip is if you ever want to like duplicate content, if you click on the object and click on the 3 dots, you've got a duplicate option, and you can click on here to duplicate that as well and use it in lots of different ways, which is very handy. You can do quite a bit of things there, which opens the door for lots of different types of lessons. And again, you can choose whatever one you want. Text wise, this is really useful if you're sitting at home or sitting at a computer with a mouse and a keyboard. Maybe you're preparing some content, because in reality, if you're doing that, you're not likely to write stuff out. So my computer's right here. I'm going to do a learning intention, which is just right there. And of course, I could highlight all that, and I could grab different content. Grab this here, actually. I could change the font, and I could change whatever, and change the size, and all that sort of stuff. I appreciate, you know, if I want this to sort of work for my lesson, I would like it to be about this big. So instead of having to change the font size, just use 2 fingers, just make it bigger and smaller. So that's kind of the size I want it to be, and it's much faster to do that. If you're on a Surface Pro, you can do that on your Surface Pro as well. One thing of interest is when you're resizing anything on a panel, on a Surface Pro, on an iPad, it's very difficult to get it completely perpendicular, completely straight. And so people spend an awful lot of their time trying to, fix it basically. If you use 2 fingers, you tap with 2 fingers just on here, it will straighten it up just like that. So that's straightened that up, which is really nice. Now I'm going to do a learning intention, and we'll write it out in blue here, and we'll do like a mind map or a spider diagram and blah, 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 blah. And we've done loads of really nice things. I want to keep that because we're doing our lesson. In the bottom left, you have two options which allow you to move on if you want to keep content. One of them is if you want to treat it a bit more like a PowerPoint or a flip chart. You've got an option here. I'm trying to sort of circle it for you here, but just here, you've got two overlapping squares. If you press the plus here, that's going to add a second page, and you can see I have page 1 there and page 2. Hit the plus again, I've got a page 3. You can edit these, and by that I mean you could change the order of them. I could put this first and put this second, or I could delete them. As you can see, I can copy them as well. All pretty simple. If I wanted to, I could also have an infinite canvas, and to do that you tap on the wee magnifying glass. It'll turn purple, and then you use your finger, you'll be able to scroll, and you can see the top right hand corner, we've got like a mini map here. Scroll through all your content just like that, so it's really, really handy as well. We're going to go back up to the top now to above the wee handle where the plus is, and the plus allows you to add in certain things. Now again, there are certain things on here that are well, only really one thing to be honest, that are part of the paid version of this, the ActivPanel Advanced. 95% is what you'll use, and it's a bit at the top and a bit at the bottom. Learn and check-in is something that might be coming to this version, but might not be, so we're not worried about that. And the engagement apps are just your Promethean suite apps. You already have them, but they're all in there, so we can ignore them. Everything else we're going to have a look at in some detail. We want to focus on when I'm preparing a lesson, or whenever I'm doing a lesson, I want to add in some media, so add in some pictures. So if you click on the plus here, this is the add media bar, and you go to web media, and web media allows you to add in things like Google Images. So I go to Google Images here. The Google Images allows me to add in something from Google Images directly. So I'm going to go to rainforest, because that's a topic that we're doing at the moment in school, for example. So we'll go to rainforest and we'll search, and what you get on here is exactly what you would get if I search for rainforest in Google. Now I don't have to go to Google, find the content, right click copy, open the thing up, right click paste. I just type the thing I want and just tap on it. It does the copying and pasting for me. So I want this, I want this, I want this. There's three things very, very quickly. Again, I can move these all around. I can make them bigger and smaller. If I am making them bigger and smaller, there is a tendency, as I say, to accidentally, angle them. So 2 fingers straightens them up dead quickly there. I want to grab, I don't want this one, I actually want this one and this one. So let's grab this and press delete. I'm going to make it slightly bigger there, possibly. There we go, it's straightened it up. Perfect. Now, I want to model these, or I'm going to use red, and I'm going to do my layers of the rainforest just on here and write them on it and blah, blah, blah. Or maybe I want to circle the elephant here and write some labels. Whenever I do that, this will stick on there and get bigger and smaller with it, as will this as well, and we can straighten them up. You can also rub content out. So the rubber here, as well as I come to it, allows me to rub out any writing I've done in it. And I can also use my palm for that as well, which can be a lot quicker when it comes to rubbing out a lot of content. The one below that, however, has a page, and what that allows me to do is it rubs out actual images. So I'm deleting the layers of the rainforest as they go. Over this one, I'm kind of deleting around the elephant head here if I wanted to, that sort of stuff. And that is genuinely deleted. It's not like it's covered up with paint or anything. It's being completely deleted. Can be really useful if you've got any kind of image and you want to erase part of it or get rid of it or annotate it as well. If we go back into add media and back into web media, we've got Google Images. We also have Clippy. Clippy is animated GIFs. Now, these are completely optional. I know I'd be spamming the kids like mad using them loads. I think they're really funny. Both Google Images and Clippy are filtered through the C2K wireless, so don't worry, you're not going to get anything dodgy there. But it is fun. You can use it for lots of different things. So kids love these. I think they're great. You can use them for loads of different stuff, and they'll sit there and they'll rotate, and you can make them smaller as well. They're just part of your thing. Kind of fun. And I think very useful as well. So again, we use our magnifying glass and we'll slide down a little bit more. We'll go back into the plus as well. In web media search, just to mention it, Unsplash is royalty-free images. So if we go to Happy, for example, it could be anything, but there's stuff there. Usually very high-res images, very high-quality images, and they're obviously all free as well. Just above web media search, you've got clip art. There is tons of clip art in here, not just things like alphabets and letters, but actual lesson tools like maths grids and animals and shapes and planets and you name it. It's pretty much in there as well. You can also just copy and paste stuff in. So if you happen to find something, not even on Google Images, because you would just use that, but let's say you found it on a website, it wasn't Google Images. If you right click and go to paste, there's the list we did earlier, and I'll just copy and paste that. So that's that list on there, put into here. We can use it for lots of different reasons. You can delete it. It's dead handy and dead easy to be able to use. Above clip art, you've got file, arguably the most important one on here, to be honest with you, because we're currently on our PC. And of course, we could use Google Drive or OneDrive or Dropbox if you use some of those. If you don't worry about it, but you could automatically drop things in from those storages. This device is incredibly important because what we're seeing now is all the content that's saved to my computer, or if I want, to my PC, to my shared area, to my RM staff. That's crucial, and that's something, and we'll talk about this when we get to it, that when you're using a panel operating system, such as the one we'll look at later on in this video, you can't do that. So you can't just drop something off your computer. It's two different ecosystems. But when you're using your computer, it makes it much easier, because that's where your stuff's very likely to be stored in terms of documents and things like that. So we could drag something in. So I want to pull in, there's an 2009 AQE paper. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to go to open. This is a PDF, by the way, and it's currently 23 pages. You can open it up as a grid or a separate slides. I want separate slides, so I'm going to import 23 pages, and there is my thing added straight in. So there you go, straight in. It will pop in. I could make that bigger. I could zoom in. I could also write on it if I wanted to. Blah blah blah. That sort of thing. That's worth 1 mark. And then I could, if I zoom out here to show you what I mean, that sticks on that. I could zoom back in again as well and straighten it up. It's very handy. But I was able to add that in about 2 seconds without having to send it to my drive and drop it down or put it on a USB stick or take a picture of it. It's very simple to be able to use. Back into add media, you can add in an image, a video, or if you want to, but it's largely pointless because if you go to file, that's any file. So a video, image, you name it, you'll be able to add. So that's the way to do it, in my opinion. If it's on your computer, you go to file, this device, and you'll be able to drop it in as well. Now, if you have a screenshot, what that allows you to do is, if you have something open, such as maybe a website, you can take a screenshot of whatever you have open and drop it in. It's an option if you want to use it. The other option is, if you go up here to the top, not the X or the minimize button, the one in the middle, this kind of puts it like mini or half open, half closed, the windowed mode, I believe it's called. Just to point out that if you ever wanted to add content and you downloaded already, it's remarkably easy. You don't even need to use the file option. You could just do this. So I want to open up something to do with properties of solids, liquids, and gases. And I've got an image here about solids, liquids, and gases. I could just drag that image in, go to done, and there's that image in there. I could make it bigger, make it smaller, and use it. I've got a video here I've downloaded on solids, liquids, and gases, and we can add that in. And that is the actual video, so we could shrink it down, we could straighten it up, we could press play. That's what I think. I won't play it too long because using copyright strikes and things like that. But I could pause here, for example. I could write on it. I could put solid information on, blah, 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 blah. I want to keep that information. I would make it much bigger in an actual lesson. So this option here, which has a wee pair of scissors, allows me to take a screenshot of that. And I could take a screenshot of that, pop it across, leave it there. I could rub this out with my hand. I think actually it's easier to tap on it and just press the bin. Tap on it twice to highlight it and then press the bin. It's up to you. I could press play and that'll play. I want you to hear it, but I don't want to play it all the way. You can understand. I can add in MP3s as well, but I won't play those for the obvious reasons, copyrights and stuff. But I can just drag them in. There's my MP3 straight in there. I'll play it for 2 seconds. You get the idea there. That might be public domain anyway, actually, so maybe not to worry about that. Now, I could also add in links to websites. So let's say I had a brilliant website that was to do with solids, liquids, and gases. Solids, liquids, gases, and we're going to add a website in here. So when you want to add a link to a website, you need to add a button. Anything can be a button. That could be a button, that could be a button, that could be a button. But this could be a button here. When you want it to be a button, you just tap on it, click on the 3 dots, and you go to link. Tap on link, you enter the website. I'm going to add in top marks here because I appreciate that I can't think of one off the top of my head for solids, liquids, and gases. So we'll do topmarks.co.uk and we'll go to add. And now I got a little purple marker just here. So I click on that, click on open, and it'll open up there. Top marks, boom, away I go. Go back into here. And we can use it. When we're finished with this, if we ever want to save it, it's this option here. It looks like a little 3 circles. You tap on there and you go to export. And export, you want to turn it into a project. Now you can save it as a PNG or as a PDF. A project's the one you want to use because then you can come back to it later again and again and again. So it's very useful app, and the nice thing about this app as well is it's constantly changing. There's constant updates being added to it as well, which is really handy. So keep an eye on it when you're using it. If you ever see up around here it says update available, you just click on update. It'll update all by itself. You won't need to download anything. It'll do it all just for you there. Now we're going to move over and look at the operating system of the actual ActivPanel LE itself. Now, one of the ways, if I want to do it, is I have to kind of change my source in a way, which you can do using the remote control and hit the source button. In reality, though, it's much easier. You might have noticed when I've been working away, this little blue dot, this is called the compass. And the compass is always available and it's always on, no matter what you're using, no matter what you've plugged into. And you can kind of ignore it and leave it out of the way. You can turn it off, but I wouldn't recommend it. And if you tap on it, you get some options. And one of those options is a little home button. If you press the home button, it brings you back to what used to call your home screen. This is your home screen right here. So you can move this around and add it anywhere. We'll come to the compass in just a wee minute. But this is the home screen of the ActivPanel LE. It's very likely that when you open up, when you first start the panel up and you haven't anything plugged in, this might be the thing you see and the first thing you see. And as I said earlier, you can use your panel just like this. You don't have to use a computer. My personal recommendation is you do. I think the benefits of having a computer and ActivSuite on there is definitely better, and it's free, but you're able to use the same apps. You might notice off very quickly, we've got Explain Everything Whiteboard just there, as you'll see, and it's very, very similar, as we'll see in a minute. You also have other apps as well, but let's have a look at this. So before we get to the compass, this is your home screen. If you ever wanted to access more apps, I've got a handful of apps on my home screen here. You just swipe up, and it brings you to all your apps. You swipe down, and the apps go away. So it's up, and it's down. Pretty simple. If I wanted to have a look at through the apps, I can just scroll through them. And if I ever wanted to maybe add an app and put it onto my desktop, let's say I'm a big fan of Canva because it's really useful. Maybe I'm an art and design teacher, I want to use that. All I do is tap and hold on it and I drag it over here. Okay, maybe I want YouTube on there because YouTube's really good, and obviously we use YouTube all the time. So tap and hold and drag it just on here. Now, if I then want to change my mind and I want to remove those, let's have a look and go to YouTube. I can come up here and drag anywhere I want, of course, to move it. But if I come up here and go to remove, it removes that shortcut from my home screen. YouTube's still there. It's just been removed. Now, there's a slight difference between apps that I've downloaded, and I'll show you that in a second, and apps that are come pre-installed on the panel. You can't remove any Google apps. So you can't remove Google, can't remove Chrome, can't remove Drive, can't remove YouTube. There's not loads of apps, a wee handful of them, but you can't remove them. That's why the only option there was remove. I've downloaded Canva using the Play Store. So when I come up here and I click and drag to move it around, up here, I've got the remove option, but I also have the uninstall option, and that's how you uninstall any apps. Now, I don't want to uninstall this, so I'm just going to remove here and keep that nice and free, just like that. So we'll come up, we'll go to Chrome maybe, for example, and we'll add Chrome in here. We'll come up here and we'll add in a different one. There's Explain Everything. I know we've got it in our little taskbar along the bottom here, but we're going to put it in here anyway because we like using it. And maybe we'll put in some other ones like the timer, because the timer is one we talked about earlier. And we'll use a spinner as well. And you'll see that these three apps just here, this is ActivSuite. This is what you'll use. Now, you can also add to that two more apps, which are Promethean based. One is Annotate, and one is Screen Share. And there is also an extra one, but it's kind of baked into the Annotate app there. And that's kind of your Promethean apps there. They're obviously on the panel. You can set them in here as well in your taskbar as well. Now, if I wanted to download an app, maybe something like that. We've got the Play Store. The Play Store is, what's the Play Store? You would sign in using your C2K email and password. It's C2KEN if you are signing in. If you want to find an app, let's say it was BBC Sounds, for example, you find it, click install, and that's it. It'll install just like that. Maybe the iPlayer, we've already got installed, actually, it said there. Let's just do the weather, maybe. I'm going to install, it'll install, and what will happen is it will go through the motions, it'll download it, it'll install it. When it has installed, when it's finished installing, it will put it directly onto your home screen, so you won't get a choice. It jumps onto the home screen. You can then remove it, or if you change your mind, you can uninstall it if you want to. That's finished there. So, we'll come back to this in a minute. If I go to my home screen, there you go, there's your apps I've downloaded previously, there's sounds, there's weather there, and I could remove these as well. If I wanted to group things together, let's say these apps, these are all part of the Promethean suite of apps, what's called Promethean ActivSuite. So I want to put them into a folder called ActivSuite so they're not taking so much room up. So tap on one of them and just drag, and there's in here, and now I've made a folder, and drag it into this folder, and drag it into this folder, and you can add more than 5, but just be aware it will only show you the 4 So this is in here. When I click into here, I've got 5 as well. You can also move the folder around if I want to as well. Now, if I wanted to change the name, and that's what said the name here, like it says with Chrome, you tap into it, you tap on where it says edit name, and you edit name. So I'm going to call Promethean ActivSuite. I might just want to use ActivSuite so it fits, but let's have a look, see what it looks like. No, that's perfect. That's okay. So I can use that. So I go ActivSuite. There's my stuff there. Boom. I can pick it and you can use it. And actually, there's one here we could add in, which is screen capture, which is also one, but it's not really one you would use as much because it's, as you'll see, it's kind of in Annotate as well. So there's my ActivSuite apps and how to make a folder. If we wanted to, we could also add in websites, okay? So if I go to Chrome here, very often people have websites they want. We had hit the button open earlier, so there's this use hit the button. So I want to use my laptop there, but that's the wrong one. Hit the button. And I want to use hit the button all the time because it's really good and we use it in class every day. And there's hit the button there. And what I want to do is I want to add this to my desktop, essentially to my home screen. So press the 3 dots and then go basically nearly the whole way down to where it says add to home screen, and then you can give it a name. Now it's quite a long name, so we can edit this if we want. So we're going to edit this, delete this, so it just says hit the button, and we're going to press add, and you press add to home screen, and that's you done. Now if I was to close this, and I'll show you how I'm closing it and all this stuff in a wee minute, by the way, so don't worry. I've closed that. I've now added a hit the button option. So when I click on this, it opens up Chrome, but it opens up that specific website and brings you straight there. So it's very, very handy. I can even close these completely and it will still open it up every time I click on it, just like that. That'll work with any website, no matter what you're doing. So you think of all the websites you use in a year or in a day rather, you'll be able to add them on if you want. Another thing to think about is if you ever wanted to have access to lots of favorites at once, I'm sure you're familiar with your bookmarks, your favorites. When using Chrome, you have a wee star here, so we can add in a little star here, and I'm going to hit the button and we'll do a times tables tree and do a star there. You could even open up individual YouTube videos like this as well if you wanted to, but any kind of website at all. Let's do a different one. Let's just do Google as an example. And I'm typing on my thing there by mistake. That's my fault. I'm typing the wrong one. Force of habit. So there's Google here. So there's Google. That's exactly there. I'm going to go to the wee star here. And then we'll come back. Now, we'll notice that hasn't put any new things on here. That's okay. We know that. But it does open the option of something called widgets. So if you tap and hold, you get the option of changing the wallpaper, which we'll come to, and also widgets. And a widget is essentially, it's kind of like an open app. It's already open. So I've got Drive on here, Google Drive, but I've also got all these apps, and not all apps have widgets. Some do, and it'll tell you which ones have widgets down here. So I'm going to go to Chrome because that's what we're going to use. And one of the options here is your bookmarks. So if you just click and drag, just choose the one you want and just pop it here. You can resize it if you want to. So there is my bookmarks here. So if I want to access Google straight away, I click on Google and Google opens up just like that. If I want to come out of here, I want to access Mental Math Train, click on there, Mental Math Train's there straight away. So really handy, very quick. You can have as many as you want, there's no limit, but it's very, very useful. And as I say, you can add YouTube videos to that as well, which can be really, really helpful. And there's loads of experiment with the widgets, have a look. If you want to change the wallpaper, which you may well do, tap and hold, go to wallpaper and style. It's in the settings, but it brings you straight there. You can change the wallpaper to something a little bit different. So there's one there. It's quite fancy looking. So you click on it. We're happy enough with that. We're going to press the little tick box here. I always go to home and lock screens. Doesn't actually matter when you choose, but I always do that anyway. And now when we go back home, there's our nice new wallpaper, just like that. I've mentioned it a few times. I've mentioned this compass, and you've maybe seen me use it a few times. If I'm in an app, let's say I'm in settings. I go into settings and I go into the network into here because, as I'm sure you're aware of, there's a lot of issues with Wi-Fi and C2K and stuff like that. And I want to make some settings changes. I want to come back a step. So down here, I've got a little triangle. That's a back button. It brings me one step back. I've got a circle that brings me to the back to the home screen always. And I've also got, maybe I want to see all the apps that I have opened up. That's what the square does. So it's my task manager, and I've loads of stuff open to. I can close things individually like this, or if you swipe to the left-hand side, you've got clear all, and that gets rid of everything very, very quickly, just like that. So it's very, very handy. The problem is, if I'm in an app, let's say Explain Everything, which we've looked at, and we'll look at in a wee moment, some apps are full screen apps and couldn't explain everything. We don't want the toolbar down here. So in order to access toolbar, I have to sort of swipe up, and it can be a bit fiddly. And look, I've drawn a line there by mistake. It's just not great. We don't want that. That's where this comes in. So this is a well, essentially it's a compass that you can move around, but when you click on it, you get the same three options. You get a back button that brings you back, you get a home screen that brings you home, and you get a task manager that shows you all the things that you have open. You also have the ability of adding your own personalized apps here, and to do that, you just tap and hold on these, and you're able to change it to an app. Let's say I wanted to use screen share, because I use screen share all the time, and I want to access it very, very quickly, no matter where I am. Maybe I'm in Google on a website. Well, I've always got this available. Boom, I can go straight into screen share, or annotate maybe is a good option to have, or screen capture. Or, as you'll see here, you can add in an app or a tool, and there's lots of tools. It could be things like freezing the screen, it could be turning the screen off, restarting it could be eco. One of the things we have on here is Spotlight, and Spotlight is this one I've already added on here, and Spotlight kind of put a freeze on the screen. It allows you to highlight individual apps. So there's this here, ActivSuite, and we're highlighting stuff. It's actually a feature of ActivInspire from the past, and you just press the X whenever you want to come out of it. But it's a cool little feature if you wanted to use, so you can experiment with what works for you. But like I said, the main benefits of it, if I'm in a website or anywhere else and I want to go home, I tap on here and I press the home button. Here's one for you. If I'm over here on this side of the board and I want to access the compass, but it's all the way over there, I don't want to have to walk across to get it. Maybe I'm in a full screen app. I know I've got it here, but maybe I'm in a full screen app and I can't get it. If you use 5 fingers and you tap and hold, it will jump over to you just like that, which again is really, really handy. Now, I'm not going to dwell too long on the actual Promethean ActivSuite stuff on here. We'll talk about things we haven't mentioned. So the ones that we haven't talked about are the ones that aren't on ActivSuite. So annotate's one of them. So if I want annotate, let's say I'm in my website here and I want to talk about things here. So I'm going to go to annotate, and of course I could access that on here, or I could access that on my thing on here, or I could open it up. So it gives you an option. I'm going to go to annotate on here. Annotate is a little toolbar here that I can move around, and I've got on here, I've got a pen, I've got a highlighter, I have lots of different things I want to use. Now I can also write stuff on it and rub it out and delete it as well. But what's cool about that is, say I wrote something on here and some instructions and circled this, is I could delete that with one go, or I could press undo, or I could rub it out and change the theme here in terms of the color to make it easier to see. This button here looks like a little camera tool. This is the screen capture button, and what it does, it takes a snapshot of what I'm currently looking at, and I can then crop that. And if I press done, I could save that to somewhere on my device. This is the clincher. It saves to my device, or if I've got any storage things like Google Drive or OneDrive connected. So just be aware of that. It's not saving to your laptop or your computer. It's saving to here. It's easy to put to your laptop and your computer, but it's not saving directly to there. So you can either go to save as and choose where to save it, or go to save and it'll just drop it into a pre-designed folder, or you can press bin and delete it. If I go to save as here, for example, because I've got Google Drive on here, it automatically signs me in, so I could save that straight to Google Drive. I could save it straight to a folder on my downloads, or the folder in here, but it's entirely up to you. I'm not going to save it, so I'm going to press the home screen and come out of it here. If we go back into here, and we'll talk about screen share. So screen share allows us to add in iPads and stuff like that. I'm going to potentially be able to use my computer here for this actually as well, but we want to add in or showcase, an iPad or something similar to that. So if I press this option here, you'll see I've got a panel ID number, and all you need to do is you scroll down from the top right hand corner of your phone or your iPad, and you'll have an option called screen mirroring on your iPad. You tap on that and you will see a list of all the things you can share to an ActivPanel. We want to click on it, and that will be it connected. It could not be any simpler. You'll then be listed with all the ones that are connected. It'll probably be one, but you can have up to 40, I think 39 if you want. Click on it and you'll be able to see exactly what you're on there. You'll see on display what you're able to see in terms of your device. And the last one on here It would be screen capture, but all that is, true what I mean, is it takes a screenshot of it. It's basically what is on the annotate. That's why I wasn't really going into it there. See, we had it open there from earlier, so we've closed that. Spinner and Timer and Explain Everything are essentially identical to what are on the PAS Promethean ActivSuite version on the Windows. So I'm not going to repeat and go into them completely. I'll just simply say the big difference between the Timer and the Spinner is you can't change the size of the timer fluidly. You have to just choose, tap on the magnifying glass and go to small, medium or large, but you can do everything else. And the Spinner, same thing applies. You can only make it small, medium or large. You decide that. The big difference here is adding your list, because if I wanted to add a new list, go to create list, I have to type in each thing, as you'll see, manually. I think that's a bit of a pain, to be honest with you. I prefer not to do that, and that's why I think the Windows version is slightly better or slightly superior if you're going to use a computer there. And you obviously can copy and paste stuff, but it's a little bit more cumbersome to do on this side of things because it's not a Windows device, but it's still there and you can still use it in very much the same way. The whiteboard, or Explain Everything, sorry, is again almost identical. There's a couple of very small changes. One of them is, if I look at my pen here, I've got an option, and it's this here to point out, just this here. It looks like a pen with some like sparkles around it, and if you tap on it, I get sparkles on all my different things on here. And what this does is, if I was to write a word out, such as Apple, it will scan the word and I can change it into text, which I think is very useful. This is coming to the Windows one, by the way, so there will be parity across everything. If I draw a shape, and it will scan the shape and say it's a triangle, it will add that in there. So you can see for lots of different options. It's very, very useful. The other one, and that works for highlighter and pencil as well, is if you go to the plus and you go to web media search, you have the ability of adding in YouTube videos, so I think it's really, really handy. So if I go to here and I search for, let's do this, happy there. And you see I have different things. There's happy by Pharrell Williams. I'm not going to play this because the video will definitely be taken down. But you'll see here, for example, that this is the video. I could, go to browse, press play, and it'll play that video, just as you'll see. And I could stack all my videos on there as well. So look, there are benefits. This is also, by the way, coming to the PAS version, so you can decide what one you want to use. Apart from that, it's going to be completely identical in terms of what you're going to be using. And you have to decide what works for you in terms of what you want to use it. There's no right or wrong answer. That's kind of us, folks. Any questions, my details will be in the description, and so will the timestamps. Apart from that, good luck, and I'll see you soon.